Welcome back, viewers, to part 2 of the installation of the TKO600 in my 1979 Ford Fairmont Fox body. In this installment, we will complete the installation of a said transmission, as well as get this thing mounted up inside the vehicle so we can hold all this stuff into place. It's going to be a lot of fun, but like part 1, this video also contains educational and entertaining material, so you've been forewarned. I'll put links in the description to part 1 in case you didn't see that, as well as other pertinent information, but I'm done talking. Why don't you get to watching the video right now? Take it away, Eric. It was covered in cardboard dust. I found it unsightly. I'm gonna test fit this before we ever get up there, and I can see that we are gonna need one of those rings. Now, I'm a little confused on my fasteners because I have these. These were only 2 washers. Lock washers went to this, and I'm pretty sure these are what secure the bell housing to the transmission. Although, for the life of me, I'm not really sure where the rest of these go just now. This might, you know what? I think I might have figured it. Yes, I did. These are going to fasten the transmission mount to the transmission. This was probably for that Speedo. These nuts, well, these nuts. Don't know where those go. We've solved that mystery anyway. There are 2 rings inside here. We're gonna have to figure out which one is appropriate for our application. One of these 2 shiny rings is gonna be the one that rules them all. Not sure which one that is. And like this. Oh, stay there. Yeah, so this will fit into here, and it's not any kind of press fit or anything, it just is. So let's just give that a try. See what it does. Nailed it. This thing is no joke heavy. Yeah, I believe that'll do it. All right, so we got that sorted. Yeah, that one's too big, so that one never would have worked. Clutch pivot. There's other clutch stuff here too. All right, for the clutch pivot, that's easy enough. It goes here. I'm gonna go measure the installed height of my old one and try to match it. Looks like I'm about 3 1/4. Yeah, from the base. So I will install my new one at 3 1/4. Whoa, way low. Just gonna recheck the instructions to see if there's something to say about this. That about gets it. But I'm not so sure that's right, because this bell housing is way different and that seems way up high. So I'm gonna consult with the instructions and see if it gives me some clue as to what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm overcomplicating it. It is what it is. The shifter fork comes in like so and pivots on this ball. And it's all I'm gonna need to install in this application. Therefore, I'm gonna tighten it down, secure it, not like that, and then remeasure to make sure that it is correctly located. And there it is. So that's the only thing we've got to deal with there, but we do have this shift fork and we do have our throw-out bearing, which we need to install. Personally, I like to take a little bit of high temp lithium grease and put it right here because this is what contacts the clutch fingers, but I have some special grease just for this. I don't have a lot of said lubricant left. Been doing a lot of lubrication over the years. I mean, just like that much. That's it. Because I know it's going to collect some dirt, but it does help with clutch operation in my experience. And this is high temp lithium grease. Part of me is wondering if I should also add a little bit to these pivot points, like right here, because ultimately, yeah, it lives on there like that. And it's going to pivot right here. So I'm also going to apply some of that same grease right in that location. I think moly grease is also acceptable. So note, this goes over top of this spring right here. It doesn't go underneath. It goes over top. Make sure you do that or else it could be bad. I don't have any moly grease around, but okay. High temp lithium, right there, right there. Now it's specifically stated not to lube in here, which I will not do. However, I will put a little bit on this shaft, and that's for the throwout bearing, so that moves. Well, you know what? I'm gonna leave that be, because that just suddenly felt wrong to do it like that. I'm just gonna consult. I've done it like that in other clutches and it's made them come out really well, but I'm just gonna recheck one more time to see if they say anything of that nature. But I do recall them talking about lubricating those points there. Earlier I spoke about the bell housing alignment procedure, and the idea is to make sure that the bell housing is completely in alignment with the crankshaft so that there isn't any binding or anything here that happens on the input shaft. I totally get it. But if you look at what fixes this, it's going to be offset dowel pins. So I don't want to go there, but they even say in here, for the most part, you don't need to worry about this, is what I'm gathering. So most engine blocks and everything are fine. Difficulty in shifting, something like that. If I experience that, I'll worry about it, but for now, I'm not. Okay, I'm skipping a lot of the steps that I often do when doing an assembly like this, but this being a performance application, it's something completely different. But I will often lubricate this area here and the splines where the clutch lives. I'm not doing it now because, well, it says not to. It also says definitely don't lubricate the end here for the pilot bushing in the crankshaft. So therefore, I'm gonna see if I can get this guy up onto the engine, get everything torqued to spec and down. This was the only thing I needed to install there. I'm gonna take the opportunity, since I am gonna be switching over to this hydraulic clutch assembly, to install this, which is the mounting point for the hydraulic clutch. So I will install this for the slave cylinder. All right, I was mistaken. This does not go up here. It goes back here where the transmission mounts to the bell housing. So we don't need to worry about this just yet. This already has some moly grease up in here for the pivot. Just gonna leave that be. Should look something like that. These are the fasteners, the new fasteners for the bell housing to engine block. I'm just gonna throw that one on the floor, but these, what they stated was between 35 and 45 foot-pounds, but they're more concerned that everything is the same. So that's a paramount concern here, is that they're all torqued the same. Probably should take this old one out first, huh? Here goes nothing. This thing is no joke heavy. It is pretty, I'll give it that. I like pretty. And it's black. And so many things on my engine are either black or metal. So it's really fitting in with the color motif I have going. Kind of wish this was out of the car at the moment, and it's not. Therefore, knowing that I am test fitting, will this bell housing come out as easy as the other one did? I'm thinking about just running these down to hold them in place and not doing the final torque until after I have it out of the vehicle, because this engine is coming back out before final assembly. I have a few things to fix up on it. Rather than getting all critical with the torque at the moment, it would be so much easier to do with it out. I'm just gonna run them down. It's not gonna get in there like I want. Need tools. Having some issues with these dowels. I think when they took them out, they got a little mushroomed. They don't like to seat as well as they could. I don't see any air gaps. It pushed through, it's okay. You know, I really wish you guys could have used like regular fasteners, because now I'm gonna have to get a special tool to take this on and off of here while it's still inside the car. I'm gonna have to get one of these with a ball end on it. That ain't cool. Couple of things. First, we got to take the shifter off. We don't have a hole in the floor yet to accommodate our shifter, so I'm going to remove it and cover the hole. I can think of a better way. You remember earlier in the program when I spoke about this shifter being fungible, movable? Well, not when they glue it on, and they glued it on. Why not use the same sealer you had here? Why use the glue? Especially if somebody needs to change the shifter. Well, I didn't mean for that to happen. See what I mean? Two areas of locale. So the way it was mounted before, this was in here. But you can turn it around and mount it this way, and the shifter will be up there and it'll shift just fine. It moves the whole thing forward like 2 and some inches. I'm gonna take some time, clean off the goo, and then I'm gonna get some masking tape and mask off this area. So when it goes up inside the vehicle, it doesn't get dirt or debris into it. Hopefully that keeps the junk out. What, you want a couple more going this way? Okay. Looks more presentable. Everywhere I touch it, there's goo. Transmission mount. There was some supplied fasteners for this. Yep, that's why I got it. For occasions just like this. I don't think I can use the chain because this may be right up against the body. Let's just see what we get. These are my fasteners. I got all the fasteners with the transmission. You'll note that there are 2 that are shorter. Reason for that, this bracket that holds the clutch slave next to the transmission. So I've got to make sure that these longer ones go on the driver's side, these go on the passenger side. You know what I wish about this transmission jack is that it went up quickly and then the last part was slow. But it's like slow and then it gets to the second piston and then it's like moves a foot every time you step on it. I'm hoping that transmission fits in this tunnel. It's a little bigger than the T5 was. And it's already showing signs of a tight fit, but I'm also right up against the floor. Ugh. All right, well, I'm headed in the right direction, although I'm right up against the floor and I still have to go up a little bit to go forward. I'm in there, and I believe I'm lined up. I'm not gonna run these bolts down, I'm just gonna install them as guides. Not putting the bracket on this side yet. I'm just running the bolts in, once again as a guide. So now I've got some of the weight of the transmission on the engine. It's my hope it'll want to mate up easier. Yay, that one started. Last one was being a little difficult. What was happening is engine was coming down, the transmission was doing this and bringing this part of the engine up. Hopefully brought it into alignment. So far it looks good. I was worried about the clutch coming into contact with the front of the transmission there. That seems okay, so that's not an issue. I don't want to draw it up with the bolts until I'm absolutely sure that it's going to go together. I like it when it falls together, but that bushing, I think the end of it got a little bit mushroomed out when I drove it in, and I used a plastic hammer and everything, so don't use a metal hammer on that. That'll mess it all up. If you have an old input shaft, that would probably be ideal. Now let's see if I can get the alignment correct and get everything flush, and hopefully it'll go together. That seemed to do it. Gonna install the bracket. Looks like this is gonna barely fit in this tunnel. Barely is good enough. And it looks like it's gonna sit down far enough, but I don't have the brace in yet, so it's still anybody's game. Turned out there were 16s. Draw them all up a little bit at a time. And I waited until I saw that the transmission was flush against the bell housing before I'm tightening these down. Gotta be super careful of that. Because if you try and draw it up and it's not in correct alignment, and test fitting, so not torquing here. So if you're not aligned up, when you go to tighten things down, you're setting up to possibly break something. Put it into a bind, but it went together really nicely, despite that bushing being a little weird. All right, TKO600 installed. Look at that. I specifically asked for everything to work together, and I'm not seeing it. That's like way off. That sucks that this won't even go onto the mounts. But if it did, looks like my mounting points would be back up there like that. I'm gonna go see if the old one fits so I can at least hold it in place until I figure this out. I think I figured out what's not working here. It's this mount. I just checked the mount on the T5 that I had. And remember at the beginning of the program I said these polyurethane mounts were not recommended by the people that sold me the transmission. However, they seem to be the only thing that's going to fit with what I have as far as the brace. As you can see, the stock one's not going to work. I'm going to get this mounted up for now. Worry about the rest later. Looks like it might work. Right, let's try this again, shall we? So I've got some leeway. I want to leave myself a little room, so I'll put it somewhere in the middle. Now the trick is to get these mounted. There's a long one on this side and a shorter one for this side. So that's what we got to do. We got to drill 4 holes to get this to go where we want it. And I just want to try to figure out how I can get this thing as even and straight across as possible. I'll measure from here to here. I don't like how that mount is backed it right up against this old stuff here. What I may end up doing is cutting this out. I'm not going to be using it anyway. It also gives me the opportunity, if I wanted to, when I get this mounted, to run a bead weld the sides in addition to bolting it. I don't really think I need to go that far. I might need to grind down that weld a little bit though. It's sticking out. Gonna do some grinding on these frame connectors in the areas where the mounting brackets will go so that they mount flush. Drill some holes, bolt some stuff up, and call this transmission installation done. These have spacers. They're supposed to help locate everything. Because I'm doing custom installation, I'm gonna put them in the middle or neutral position. See, that doesn't look straight across. And I don't know if that's because the floor isn't straight. Let's put the other side together, see what we get. Good clearance. But without my drive shaft, it's going to be difficult to check things like driveline angles and that kind of thing. But I got to start somewhere. I just don't like how close this is to here. In fact, it makes me just want to remove those altogether because they're just literally in the way right now. It just seems to make sense to cut them off, and I'm disappointed because I went through all that trouble, especially on this side, to make sure that those were intact. If I don't weld these down, and maybe I decide to switch to an automatic transmission and I got to change this piece, I could still move it around just by drilling a couple more holes. So a couple orders of business. We'll remove these old ones, grind down the welds, put this back up into place, mark the location where I want everything to be. Seems to be happy there though. And I could mark that side. I don't know how useful this is just to even make this measurement because one side's different than the other. Maybe I could go from the flat on the inside. It's about 1 1/4. That one is also about 1 1/4, so I seem to have nailed it. Got it pretty stinking close. So since those measurements are the same, I'm just gonna scribe down the one side. Should give me an idea where I want it to live. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna cut these out, grind the welds down, check my positions again, and drill some holes. I wonder. That was bound to happen. I like this thing. Link in the description. Seriously. Yeah, I like this guy. Seriously, love that thing. And now we grind. Come here, light. Illuminate. That feels better. That feels flush, solid. The bits over here got a little, so I will grind that. But this one is so nice and clean. Just gonna leave it be. But this one, yeah, it needs help. Just looking for sharp edges. I don't want to be working under here one day and get a nasty cut and then think to myself, you had the grinder in your hand, Eric. Right. Also now fits nice and flush. Time to drill some holes. I'm gonna get this up in here today. I will be coming back, touching up this paint under here, but not today. I'll just position this up against the mark that I made, then mark where I'm gonna drill my holes. I can see that. Let's get my other light. This one's dying. Here's where it gets just stupid. Because as I'm drilling into here, I'm gonna come into contact with the floor. And if that happens, I'll just get my other drill. It's a lower profile, it'll be fine. You're probably wondering what size drill bit I'm using. It is a 5/16 drill bit. And I wanna drill straight. You always wanna drill straight, right? Keyless chuck. Okay, this is the part that I was worried about, since this might hit the floor. All right, for now, I'm just gonna drill the other hole, and then I'll grab the other pneumatic drill I've got. Mainly trying to see if the holes are big enough. And if I just move them around a little bit, they seem to be lined up correctly. I'm not gonna do anything until I drill the other side, but I just take the drill and just sort of do this with a little bit, make the hole slightly larger. I've also got a universal bit I can do that with as well, but I'm gonna grab my other pneumatic drill, which is gonna sneak up in there better. This little guy gets up in here nicely. Now, to try to be straight as a bolt. Yay, one. Didn't exactly go straight through, but went through. Putting the washer on this side. Washer, bolt, through. I only wish I had 2 more washers, but I don't. I had a couple of extra washers and threw them on the floor. I thought they looked better there. I think those are 13s, and they are. That is on there solid. Now that I've got one side hard mounted, just gonna put it into position. So this way I can verify the other side before I drill those final holes. It's lined up directly with the mark that I made earlier. So I feel confident that I can just mark it, that I can just drill these holes. Too far off on this side. Got to make one of the holes bigger. Still, wow. I missed big time over here. Anyway, hopefully my washers are big enough. Yeah, I'll be fine. Maybe those washers do need to be a little bit bigger. Also, that weld could use some grinding. This weld sticks out just a little too much. Oh wait. Whoops, forgot the washer. You know what? Maybe I should get those started first in the transmission, because these are slightly off. It'd be great if this was slotted over here, because that's what it could use. But these aren't slotted over on this side. If they were slotted over here, I could have an easier time of it. As it is now, it's just slightly off. You know what though, there's some movement in the mount. So I'm gonna loosen up the mount bolts, because these are kind of slotted up here. Maybe that's all that's needed. right, well, there it is. She's mounted, secure, and I think looking pretty good. This still may be hanging down a little low. I'm really not sure, but I do have spacers. This came with spacers to raise and lower the back of the transmission. Now that I have this securely mounted and this is the transmission that I'm going to be using, I'm gonna have to cut a hole in the floor for the shifter. So what I'll do now is I'll just roughly mark around where that shifter is gonna live. So now I have a general idea of where that's gonna come up through the floor. Once I make this hole inside the vehicle, I'll be able to put this up in here and then decide where the shifter is gonna live. Because the shifter still sticks up above this a little bit, but it can't be so far down in that the shifter is gonna be too short. So I have to be careful of that. But we've certainly made some progress. And that concludes part 2 and the series of the TKO600 installation in my 1979 Ford Fairmont Fox body. You might be saying, Eric, what's that transmission still doing on the jack stand? That's an excellent question. I had to take it out to do some other stuff, but rest assured, it is ready to go back in whenever. Anyhow, I will put links in the description to modern driveline, this transmission, the parts, the tools, everything that I use, so please check there if you have questions about something you saw in this video. If you have automotive questions, I ask that you head over to EricTheCarGuy.com, also linked in the description. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you wish to connect with me socially. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.